It's Saturday, of course, the weekend, and I know you all are either relaxing at home, going to check out some things, following the guidelines and protocols of the COVID-19, and of course, also looking at what you need to do to plan for the new week. This is a program you can miss because we look at the developments, strategies, and the impact it has on organizations and the nation. Initially, we had said we would discuss the growth mindset, ideas to make individuals and businesses thrive. I must appreciate all our viewers because it's received a wide acceptance and response viewership in terms of the video presentations, and we will continue to encourage you to also join to learn more. But today, because of the times we are and the need to really be more strategic and have a very unique and dynamic approach in these times, we're looking at the unconscious organization. Very interesting topic. The unconscious organization, personal and organizational growth hacks. I'm looking forward to hearing this incisive presentation. And we have our guest, Mr. John Wese, CEO of Syntech Nigeria Limited, who will be giving us those insights in the course of this program. So don't want to leave your set as you watch this. But before we go on to this interesting conversation, let's give you updates as we do on the current status of the COVID-19 pandemic, which you all know has had a great impact on the nation, the economic activities, and indeed across the globe. For Nigeria, the total confirmed cases are 23,298, with recoveries now at 8,253 and deaths 554. The active cases are 14,491. The top three states with the highest cases in Nigeria: Lagos remains the epicenter with 9,741 cases. The FCT Abuja has 1,676 cases, and Oyo State is now number 3 with 1,264 cases. The lower three states with the lowest cases for now are Ekiti 40, Taraba 19, and Kogi State 3. Well, for now, there's no official confirmation of a case from Cross River State. The sample test, which has been part of our discussions in this program, has increased rapidly. It's now 125,090, showing the impact of cooperation between the Nigerian Center for Disease and Control and other private sector individuals. And so we move on to this conversation, and it's nice to have you, Mr. John Wese, on the program.
Thank you, Otto. It's another privilege. I'm glad to be here after a short while.
And just for our viewers, this is the last Saturday for the month of June. June has been a very eventful month, Mr. John Wese. So many things have been happening. But let's look at the current management of the COVID-19 pandemic. You've seen across the world, governments are looking at reopening gradually the economy. And then there is a warning of a second wave, even from the global organizations like World Bank and IMF. And on 29th, that's Monday, the 2nd to 29 June lockdown easing phase will be over. And we'll be expecting to hear from the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, from the federal government and state governments what they agree in terms of the next phase. Just to note that what has been happening was the curfew from the night. Some states take 8 p.m. to 5 a.m., some 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then the interstate travel ban has been on. And then flights have not resumed yet. Even they were looking at doing that last week, but that was reviewed and said we have to revisit it. So overall, how do you see the management from the federal and state level?
So far, I think our government and all the stakeholders and everybody that is involved in the management of this pandemic nationally, we must commend them.
Yes.
We're talking about from the confirmed cases, the ones that are documented, to that. That's just a little above 2%. We've done well. Yeah. Going by our own standards, we've done well. You also want to thank the level of awareness, the continuous communication for which people like WebTV and other organizations has been pushing out, media, through every communication channel. And I think we must commend everyone that have been able to support and create this level of awareness. We must also commend our citizens, be that as it may. Their level of compliance. Generally, I've called friends and associates within the 6 geopolitical zone. To a large extent, compliance has been high. Compliance has been high, and prevention, they say, is better than cure. And I think we must give ourselves some pat on the back. Is there room for us to do more? Yes. And which is what I think and I believe the PTF, the Presidential Task Force
on COVID-19
are doing in order to know the best strategy to release the lockdown. By Monday, Otto, what do I expect? I expect domestic flights to be resumed. What are my reasons?
Okay.
By now, I think we should have been able, because one of the things during this lockdown that is easing out, the guidelines and the restriction is easing out on Monday, for example, a message came from all of the key stakeholders, NCDC as well as the state governments. We are now in a stage of what? Personal responsibility. Now, that message was shared consistently up to today, that we are now at a stage of personal responsibility, for which you need to know that by wearing your mask to any public space, you are preventing what ratio? 50% of infection. That's the kind of the global estimate.
Yes.
So every time I wear my mask and every time I take the basic precaution of washing my hands, using hand sanitizer, I just keep it to the guidelines. I have the mask alone, it is believed, keeps this ratio down to as high as 50%. So what do we do with the next 50%? The next 50% they are telling us has to do with what? Personal responsibility. So if we continue to do this, we are bound to beat this thing pending the time we have what? The vaccine to be able to deal with it. Now that's one leg. Now, so the next thing you want to say is, should government release interstate movement? The answer is yes. However,
interstate movement?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Considering the spike, you know, Mr. John, the
I
spike
agree. You see, by now, if the states are working in tandem, and I believe we have people who know what they are doing. I am one of those Nigerians, again, maybe because of privilege, that believe that we have people who think. We shouldn't think we don't have people who do not think. We have people who think.
Yes, of course. So, yeah.
I believe by now they will have been, together with all the authorities, the enforcement agents and things like that, that they will have been able to have strategy in order to be able to know how to manage what? Movement. In order to know how to manage movement. Do we need to relax it? Yes, let's relax it for a week or two and let's see. If we envisage or we see an astronomical spike across the 36 states, especially with the epicenters, Lagos, Abuja, Kano,
Oyo State
FCT, and Oyo State. You get my point? If we see an astronomical spike, what do? We contain those states creatively. We contain those states creatively. So that's what we need to do. Then the message must also still be what? Consistent. Now, in terms of other organizations and other businesses rolling out, you get my point. Just like you see what other developed economies are doing, you know, we can borrow some leaf and adapt. How? Let's start releasing gradually. Most hotels are not working now. Most public recreational centers are not working now. Is that not so?
Yes.
We can leave the recreational centers for now, okay, and say restaurants and hotels, you know, roll up. Commence businesses. You get my point. Commence businesses. Flights, domestic flights, commence operation. And let's see. Let's see the level of responsibility and discipline we are all able to do what? To follow. Now, there is nothing wrong in attempting that. Now, if we now see that people, our citizens, are not responding to this guideline and there is a spike, we shut down. It doesn't hurt. So it is this testing, these experiments that we do, that it also improves our organizational response as a nation, as a state, as organizations, as well as individuals, for us to be able to manage the economic aspect of the consequences of this pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, in just 2 minutes before you go to your presentation, would you also look at, there are some talks around maybe states with the high incidence case, maybe top 6, top 10, okay, let's maintain a lockdown and then gradually ease for those that don't have that high level cases?
That's another, you see, that's another strategy. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
So we could say states with this level of spike, we will still keep movement restricted to a certain measure, all right? But states that do not have this thing, let's go ahead. However, with all the vigilance, with all the protocols, with all the protocols, you know, being put in place. So that's what we need to do.
It requires a lot of wisdom. But let's not take away this presentation. And so it's time for the presentation on the unconscious organization, personal and organizational growth hacks. Let's hear from Mr. John Wesley.
Thank you, Otto. Morning viewers, like you now know, this segment of the Strategic Management Station on WebTV is in two parts. The parts we discuss on the application of what is going on, and the part where we share knowledge with you. And thank you for supporting us by your views. We also need your feedback so that we can share some of those feedback, you know, and see how we can address them to real situations that you might be facing. In this series that I want to start, you know, I call it the unconscious organization. Why? The reason I am looking at this series for a long while is to help us, both as individuals and as an organization or as organization, to respond to the changing realities of governance and leadership today. The entire world is changing, but you need to know why and why you and I need to respond. I am hoping that the objective this series will achieve, in a number of weeks I'm going to run this, is to help you become better aware about what you don't know. It will also help you to improve your ability to reflect, to engage in more reflection in your leadership journey. It will also help you to be more tolerant of others, other people, other races, other people of other beliefs, other tribes, other colors, other gender, people of different kinds. It will also help you to seek to understand in context first before you and I rush to judge people's actions. It will also help you improve your group thinking skills. And as an enterprise, if you take this series and observe some of the things I'm going to share with you, it will also help you to develop a sustainable enterprise while remaining socially responsible. Above all, as an enterprise as well, it will help you grow the right talent for the new age we found ourselves. Things are growing at a tremendous pace, so you need to understand why. Becoming aware of your unconscious behavior or actions as an individual or as an entity affects the sustainability of your enterprise, affects you as a leader or as a manager, either in an enterprise or in a nation. It also affects the influence you have on people over time. Now, what do I define as the unconscious organization? This is my definition, and it came out of a reflection. I haven't been involved in doing some work in this domain. I say it is the undocumented ways and means by which an organization or a group operates that helps it to thrive or to fail. If you don't bear this in mind, the fact that you and I exhibit certain unconscious behavior, as an individual and as organizations. It affects the way the organization thrives. It affects the way I as an individual. It also affects the way I lead. It also affects the way I survive. It affects the way I relate to people. It affects the way I also acquire knowledge. It affects the way I grow in my self-awareness. In one of my previous series, I had shared with you that at a certain level, we talk about self-leadership. I also talked about, for you to get to the level of self-leadership, we say you have self-mastery. You develop a certain level of awareness that helps you to be able to manage better who you are in your relationship. So the same thing for an organization. There are ways organizations behave. And these organizations are led by who? Are led by individuals. So, as a change management expert, we say that change takes place first, or change occurs first from an individual before it goes to a group, before it spreads to the entire organization. So if you look at an organization starting first from the individual, okay, change can only take place, growth can only take place, failure can only take place majorly from the unconscious behavior of that individual, okay, and from that individual, it spreads to the group or the enterprise the organization belongs. It doesn't matter whether you are the lowest rung of the firm or you are the highest rung of the firm. So your unconscious behavior, my unconscious behavior, can impact the way the organization thrives. And how do these manifest themselves? They manifest in an organization in blind spots, in the default behaviors both management and employees behave in the daily operation of the enterprise. In the cultural, what we call the cultural manifestations that either happen or propel the firm to its prosperity or otherwise. It also manifests, this unconscious behavior, also manifests in the leadership style. The leaders, not just the pivotal leader, the leaders of that enterprise do things. It also manifests in the way decisions are made. It also manifests in the way you do your recruitment, your selection, how you get people to your enterprise, whether it's public or private sector, how you recruit, how you also communicate. A lot of the time, you and I, by virtue of our unconscious behavior, communicate poorly or in an unacceptable manner with other people. And instead of that relationship, with all the good intentions you and I have to prosper, that does not take place. So, the question I'm asking you is, if you are aware of this, it also helps in the way you grow talents in your enterprise, especially today, where what we are saying is for everything that you do today, everything that you and I do today, it has become very important for the subject of what? Diversity and how we manage that. So the way an organization unconsciously runs, operates, affects its prosperity, affects its growth, affects its sustainability. Today I want to take one issue, the issue of the blind spot, and I want us to look at it from a tool that we deploy, that we use in assessing leadership, in trying to help to give people feedback. As a certified psychometric administrator, a number of them across the board, I have discovered that there is this tool, we call it the Johari Window. What it does in a leadership development experience for managers and for leaders, for them to be better leaders or for them to be better managers, it has a quadrant. And this quadrant is as I'm sharing with you. What is known to you and others? What is unknown to you and others? What is known to you and what is unknown to you? And I want to focus on blind spot, which was the first item I talked about, manifestation, in my previous slide. What is your blind spot? The blind spot for you as an individual or as an organization is what is unknown to you, but is known to other people. If you look at the quadrant, the blind spot talks about what is unknown to you, but is known to others. Meanwhile, if you look at the quadrant, what is known to you and what is known to others, we say it is open. You have common agreement with other people who are able to tell you and you agree about how you relate with them in terms of your decision making, in terms of your communication style, in terms of your relationship, in terms of your decision making. So, if we use this tool in the context in which I am having this conversation, this is very important. I am saying that if you use this tool, this Johari window, that we use to help provide feedback, a 360-degree view of an individual, for example, because when we deploy this tool, we send this tool to an individual's peers, managers, and subordinates. You get the point. To give an assessment of this individual. That's what we use the Johari window to do. And I'm saying we can also creatively deploy it as an extension to see how we can use the individual to improve the organizational readiness or the organizational performance of any enterprise. So, if you look at this, what is hidden is what is known to you that others do not know. You know certain things about yourself that nobody knows. That means you refuse to tell anyone. But other people do not know it. Meanwhile, this information that you know about yourself could either help you grow, become better, or could actually be doing what? Hampering your growth. And we are now in a season where there is so much confusion about what leadership or what the right leadership should be, or how should organizations become better responsive to humanity or to mankind, as the case may be. And I'm saying that if you deploy this tool, what is unknown to you and what is unknown to others, and you respond to the feedback that is given to you here, which are the way other people see you. If you respond to the feedback, which is your blind spot, to what other people give to you as an individual, you can translate that feedback if you are willing to change. You can translate that feedback, okay, to organizational success. You can translate that feedback to personal success. So, what is not known to you, which other people know, if they give it to you as feedback, remember I talked about growth mindset, and one of the characteristics we looked at on growth mindset was what? Feedback. And I said that your ability to take feedback or criticism, okay, is fundamental to you having a growth mindset. You can now see the connection. I am also saying, if you are also able to tell people those things that you kept to yourself in order for you to be a better person, or in order for your organization to be better, in order for you to provide the right kind of leadership for your enterprise, if you combine that together with your blind spot to the things you do not know about yourself and what other people do not know about yourself, which is unknown, what it creates for you is it creates what I call an unbounded what? Unbounded capabilities. Things, potentials that even you do not know. So how are you going to respond from your unconscious states, the actions and behaviors you and I exhibit, using this tool to be able to thrive, to be able to explore? So what I am saying is, if you use this tool and you become conscious of your unconscious behavior, you become aware of your unconscious behavior, or your organization becomes aware of feedback of your unconscious behavior, your actions, your decision making, the way you recruit, the way you select people, the way you place people in positions. If you respond to the feedback from your blind spot, and if you're also willing to open up, you can begin to explore what even you don't know about yourself and what others don't know about yourself for prosperity, for growth, which I called the unbounded potential, which is in the unknown quadrant. So you could see what it takes to begin to realize what an unconscious organization is, and how you as an enterprise, you as an individual, can begin to recognize the fact that I have some unconscious behavior that I need to do what? That I need to begin to be aware of, so that I can improve my relationship with everybody. So that the greater goal, the greater intent that I have to create a better person, to be a person of greater influence for good, okay, as an individual as well as an organization, to become better. Context is key. We are in a situation today that you and I need to begin to recognize the unconscious behaviors or actions that we do. I am hoping whatever I've shared with you today, in this part 1, you'll be able to begin to see what it means for you to recognize that you have a blind spot. I have a blind spot, which if I take that feedback, if I am open to feedback from what people tell me about my blind spot, and I'm also willing to do what? To share certain information about me, I can explore the unbounded potentials that I have resident in what I don't even know I am capable of. Have a wonderful week, and I'm wishing you all the best.
Thank you very much, Mr. John.
That's the story for today.
It's interesting to hear that this unconscious organization, because the word unconscious is, when you put it in medical term, he was unconscious. He was unconscious. He was not knowing what's happening. But the fact that it's an undocumented way and means by which an organization or group operates, it's something that I would go back after this to really get that insight, because you said some things here about the Johari window. When you said being certified psychotic
psychometric test.
Psychometric, yes.
Yes.
Now, those are tests used to see how organizations can grow and become much viable. And
no, the Johari window is you deploy it to individuals.
Yes, but psychometric tests.
Yeah, psychometric tests. There are different
levels and instruments.
Yes.
Yeah. But this is something that leadership and organization must take seriously in
Very
this time,
important.
Considering the era of reinventing ourselves and navigating these challenging times?
Otto, the truth is, we have currently, most organizations still have about 4 generations of employees in the workplace. Because we have these 4 generations of employees in the workplace, the ways each of these generations, the way they lead, the way they relate, the way they communicate, the way they associate, differs. So what we are saying is people must recognize this shift in human interaction and bring it to the forefront so that the organization can thrive better.
I think that's very important. That particular illustration, 4 different generations, it's across
Absolutely.
And that will help us more effective. But we'll get further insights of this, Mr. John Wesley. We expect to get further insights on this very, very robust presentation on unconscious organization.
Thank you.
We need to know ourselves better. Generations come across in organizations, whether government, whether in private sector, and the way they relate becomes very important. And that was what Mr. John Wesley was giving insight on, your unconscious organization. You need to learn more. And to learn more, you will join our website, www.prochange.com, to watch this video link and also get further insight on this presentation. You can share with your friend and people across, because in this period, you need to get leadership and strategic management insights. That will be all for this edition of Strategic Management Discuss. It continues next week, Saturday, and you don't want to miss it, with our very, very expert guest, Mr. John Wesley, CEO of the Syntech Nigeria Limited and a strategic management consultant. And don't forget that we must follow the guidelines and protocols, ensuring that we keep safe in this period of COVID-19. Please do that very important duty and help our nation in this period. We'll also give you updates next week on the decisions of the government on the easing of lockdown, and hope to discuss briefly on that in subsequent editions. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.